Hi everybody, I'm Diane Brady. I'm here with Igor Zhadanov, who is the co-founder and CEO of Readdle, a productivity app, I think one of the most downloaded apps.
Yes.
Right? I'm not sure if you've got the latest figures, you probably do.
I think for now we have 220 million people who downloaded our products globally on the consumer side, and we're proud of it.
So you started in Odessa.
That's correct.
With your brother. Can we just go back to that period? Because that was, I'm sure you were one of the few people to have iPhones when you started this company in Ukraine, right?
Super quickly, 2007, Apple announces the iPhone, which was Apple reinvents the phone. We saw the hardware was phenomenal. The software was very basic. We felt some voids, in particular, that you cannot read a book or document on it, and that's why we decided to build a product to fix it. And that's why the company is called Readdle. So initially it was four friends, four of us, who started the company, and Dennis, my brother, joined shortly after. And we still run the company till now.
You're still all together. But you're based out of London. One of the things, I know you still have you staff in Ukraine.
That's correct.
Talk about what impact the war has had, like not just, because you would have started before even, Russia annexed Crimea. So you've seen sort of an ongoing assault on your home country. What impact did that have?
2011, first time we decided to move internationally, and we flew a lot to Silicon Valley. We expanded international as a business, and we benchmarked ourselves as a company that has to have international footprint, both on customer side, on team member side, and on vision and values.
What was your first impression of Silicon Valley?
I loved it.
You did?
I loved it, absolutely.
But you didn't move there, you're in London.
I didn't. Actually, I think that the best value we were able to identify is this match of Silicon Valley, easygoing, go get it, versus Ukrainian resilience and commitment to build something that's meaningful long term.
I've never heard the term easygoing, next to Silicon Valley, so that's good. Talk a little bit about, I do want to focus on the conflict in Ukraine. Has it had much of an impact on your business? How so?
Definitely. So initial reaction definitely was shock for everyone. And what we're seeing right now that people in Ukraine has accepted the fact that we are in the war. We accepted the fact that this is not going to end up anytime soon. It's going to be very painful, tedious reality for us. And we've managed to build the resilience mechanisms. So I was actually fascinated to which extent the whole country, was able to rebuild themselves and figure out how do you operate in this new environment. Whether it's family matters, whether it's medical, whether it's services, businesses, logistics, and it definitely touches our business as well.
What is your resilience mechanism? What describe that in your context?
I think we are, after the shock is gone, we are able to accept the new reality and still be very out-of-the-box thinkers. How do we navigate that? Probably because we didn't have much of a structure as a society, as a young country prior. It was part of a culture to understand that at any given moment, you should expect way more than would be considered normal. And that habit gives this out-of-the-box flexibility to adapt.
Can you unpack that a little bit? So, and I know I'm jumping a little bit all over the place, so forgive me. So let's start with the decision to leave Ukraine. And because you moved to London.
For me, it's easy. So since
Why?
2011, I was flying a lot, up to 50, 60 flights per year. So
you wanted a better hub?
Yes, my partners actually were joking that my average altitude would be maybe 4,000 meters above the ground throughout the year. So therefore, for me, it wasn't the question of where I'm based, it's just where my suitcase is, pretty much. And yes, I did make a decision to move to London in around 2018-19. And then because of COVID, that got postponed.
So it got postponed. So when I feel like I'm sort of struggling a bit with how much to index on Ukraine. Do you feel like you're still a Ukrainian company? You're a global company. Because you're from Ukraine, everybody asks you about Ukraine, obviously. There's a personal attachment to the country. How much of your business is actually in Ukraine? How much of your staff is based in Ukraine? Just so we're being fair about the context
we
here.
have about 40% of our team members are currently still in Ukraine.
It's a lot, okay.
It's quite sizable, of course, yes. We still see ourselves as a Ukrainian-born company, which has international footprint. So we operate internationally, we compete internationally, and we think internationally in that sense. But absolutely, we have Ukrainian roots, and that absolutely helps us to make us who we are.
Can I take off the entrepreneur hat a second and just talk about you growing up in Ukraine. What were the attitudes towards Putin? Because your dad, I believe, was in the military, was he not? Can you give me some context just so we can understand better how people in Ukraine are feeling about what's going on?
So in Odessa, people were absolutely apolitical. And basically, Odessa, probably within the whole areas in Ukraine, is the most detached of whatever is going on outside. So we had this a very strong mentality, just leave us alone, we'll figure our life ourselves, period. So there is not much of engagement. We have all-time low election kind of rates when people show up on any elections and stuff like that. So in that sense, we didn't have much of a kind of engagement or emotional anchoring of whatever's going outside. It was just literally kind of thinking in terms of, like, we are here to do what we believe is good for our life, and that's it. And naturally, the war has changed it, and now it's a very polarized world for us.
There's been talk of Russia particularly targeting Ukrainian businesses because obviously war takes place in cyberspace as well as on the ground. Have you felt that? Have you felt targeted at all by hackers or any sort of cyber?
For us specifically, nothing substantial, but we did invest in cybersecurity for maybe a decade ago. So we are quite resilient as a company, and all our infrastructure has been international and properly structured many years ago. But I do know businesses that really suffered from hackers attacks, and I do know some examples of that.
In Ukraine?
Yes.
So a lot of the attention has shifted geopolitically right now to Israel and Hamas. Does that make any difference in terms of if you had a message at all for what's happening in Ukraine? Are you hearing a lot from people on the ground there?
The challenge that we have as a country is that we are very much we're in a need to have lots of support. That's a fact, and that support is driven by media, by attention. So as attention shifts,
here I am. Yeah,
of course, it's always kind of a challenge because there are concerns which I know. Do we have a place to voice what's happening, what's really happening, so the world can actually see and respond to that. So in that sense, I think that's a challenge. That's an unfortunate challenge that we have so many events and wars and military conflicts across the globe right now, and Ukraine is just one part of a bigger picture.
Well, I think one of the challenges when you're an entrepreneur who's got a global footprint, you're based in London, you've got a personal attachment to Ukraine. At the same time, you don't want to create the impression that your company is not resilient. Like, we don't want to mistake what's happening in Ukraine with what's happening with Readdle, right? Is that one of the things that you don't want us to conflate the two? Because I sense a little bit of hesitancy.
I would say that we are definitely the product of the environment we are in. And that resilience, it's not specific in our company compared to other companies in Ukraine, or compared to other businesses or even sectors in Ukraine. So this is just very, very, in that sense, we are a coherent environment. People in Ukraine are genuinely able to adapt quickly, self-organize under pressure. We had 3 revolutions in our history. We had lots of tipping points in the history of the country. And on every moment like that, we see this capacity to really push back all the noise and really focus on what is critical for now.
How's the entrepreneurial community now?
Super helpful, extremely engaged. So we have hundreds of people who really did all kind of participation, from volunteer to fighting back physically. And this is really not just the military part of the country is actually in the war, it's the whole country in the war. And entrepreneurs actually are using technology, using their connections, their flexibility, their resilience to back up lots of activities that's going on in the country at the moment.
So is this the new normal, basically? I mean, it doesn't seem like anything's ending anytime soon. Is this just a new...
Yes.
So in that scenario, would you be building up in the Ukraine, or would you be building up in other places?
Of course, we're building internationally. We never stopped hiring neither in Ukraine or internationally. And this is not going to change.
Talk a bit about Readdle and how you're growing the business.
So we started as 4 co-founders initially.
Yep.
We're bootstrapped, we're profitable. We never took any capital, and we have an 8-digit EBITDA at the moment. So by industry standards, we are very healthy, sustainable business at the moment, which is good. I think we always were able to think long term and think starting from a customer. What would be the best value we can give to you as a customer? That's step 1. Once we do this, there will be a way to make it a fair price, to make it a financially viable, so we can actually develop the product and scale further. So therefore, for us, we were in this kind of software category, which really is building the product first.
But where you are now, where do you go next from where you are now?
So we have a huge boost with AI at the moment. Definitely, we have lots of. We finally got to the point when technology can help people to answer questions and can help software to answer questions and do actions without user intervention. And I personally love this.
So it's helpful because, you know, Grammarly, another Ukraine company, is really, there's a lot about its business that's being disrupted by generative AI, and they talk about how they're trying to get ahead of, you know, what ChatGPT can do. People now think disrupts Grammarly, but the Grammarly has been trying to get ahead of the innovations. Are you doing the same? How's it changing your business?
Frankly, I don't share this notion that AI will take the job, but I do believe the person using AI will. And therefore, for me, I believe that AI can really benefit people who understand what they want to accomplish, because it's just a multiple of your force. What you would have spent a week prior, you can do in a couple of hours these days. And this is phenomenal because it boosts productivity literally to unheard of levels. In that sense, with what we are seeing, I think for most of our products, there is a room for us kind of to build that into our products as well. So it's a progress.
You still don't have a big presence in Silicon Valley. What do you think of Silicon Valley these days? You went there in 2011. You go back 2023. What do you think?
25% of my time in Silicon Valley in the last decade, in and out. So I was quite exposed to that. It's still a phenomenal place. Despite all the challenges, despite the COVID, despite lockdowns, I think this is the most intense place when you think about intellectual capacity, capital, and willpower to build something new, to build breakthrough. So that unique mix, I don't think we see any other locations on the planet there.
What about London with Brexit? Has it changed things, being cut off from Europe?
Yes. For most businesses that I'm observing, and for the country in general, it seems that there is lots of damage to be done, and people are still grasping what the scale of this damage is.
Does it make you rethink your footprint there?
Well, we're international. So
right, but still, are you not still based in London?
We are based in London. We opened an office this September. We expanded the team. I think we have 17 people at the moment.
So it doesn't impact your growth plans there?
No.
Anything else on your radar that you want to put on ours?
Well, I think for me right now the opportunity is still with AI, because that's a big topic, and I would say that I just don't share the fear that AI will take over and do some kind of crazy things, but we need to be mindful actually what people using AI are doing and focus on.
And your team in Ukraine is back to normal, you think, in a way, and whatever normal looks like?
Corrected to the circumstances, yes. Basically, we turned our office in Odessa into a resilience point, so we have backup generation, we have Starlinks, we have all the kind of supplies that necessary, so basically it becomes a
Can the country go on like this for years to come, or is it, I mean, it just seems, you're at war with a big country.
It's very difficult to say. The more informed people I talk to and ask the same question, the less willing they are to make any forecast. It's very difficult to forecast.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great.